On a sweltering summer afternoon, when the air hung heavy with unspoken desires, young Marcus arrived at his Aunt Anna's secluded countryside home. What began as a simple plumbing repair would unravel into a web of temptation neither could resist, drawing them across a line that society deemed unbreakable. It was a blistering day when Marcus decided to visit his Aunt Anna. She lived alone in her old house on the edge of the village, often calling on him for help with minor repairs. This time, it was the dripping kitchen faucet that finally demanded attention. As he stepped inside, the familiar aroma of fresh coffee and apple pie greeted him. Anna stood by the window, sunlight caressing her face and making her seem younger than her years. "Good thing you're here," she said with a faint smile. "That faucet is driving me crazy. I almost considered shutting off the main water line." Marcus chuckled, setting his toolbox on the table before crouching under the sink. As he tinkered with the pipes, he heard her footsteps behind him, the clink of dishes, her occasional sigh. He felt her eyes on him, and that awareness quickened his pulse. Soon enough, the job was done. He stood, wiping his hands, and found her closer than expected. Their eyes met, and time seemed to freeze. "You're so handy," she whispered, her voice softer, deeper than usual. "I don't know what I'd do without you." An invisible tension filled the room. Marcus wanted to speak, but words caught in his throat. The silence buzzed with unspoken thoughts. Anna reached for the coffee pot and poured him a cup, her fingers brushing his in a fleeting touch. Was it intentional? He wondered as he accepted the steaming mug, unable to tear his gaze from her. Her movements were calm, almost graceful, yet an undercurrent of restlessness simmered beneath. "You've grown up," she said suddenly, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "To me you're still the boy who ran barefoot through my garden." Her voice trailed off, and she shook her head slightly. Marcus's heart raced. He set the cup down and searched for words. "Times change, but you've stayed the same, beautiful and strong." Anna raised an eyebrow, surprised by his boldness. She laughed, but it sounded embarrassed. "You know how to give compliments. Your mother didn't teach you that." They sat by the window as the evening sun painted the sky gold. The warmth pressed in, making the silence between them almost tangible. Marcus sensed her nearness, not just physical, but emotional. "You know, Marcus," Anna began, "sometimes I wonder if life offers more than just routine. We live, we work, we fulfill obligations, but something's missing." Her words echoed in his mind. He didn't grasp it all, but he felt it, a shared secret hovering between them. He turned, and their eyes locked again. This time she didn't look away. Instead, she held his gaze, as if testing how far he'd go. Outside, crickets chirped as the day's heat softened into a warm evening breeze. Inside, the tension thickened. Marcus knew this summer would be different from all the others. The next morning, the sun blazed high as Marcus descended the creaky stairs. The scent of fresh-baked bread filled the house. Anna was in the kitchen, wearing a light summer dress that glowed nearly translucent in the backlight. "Good morning, Marcus," she greeted without turning, her voice cheerful yet laced with something magnetic. He sat at the table, his eyes tracing her shoulders, her neck, the way her hands moved as she sliced the bread. It was ordinary, yet every detail carried hidden weight. When she handed him the plate, their fingers grazed. The contact was brief, but it sent an electric jolt through him. He didn't pull away immediately, and she let her touch linger a heartbeat too long. "You seem thoughtful," she said, sitting across from him and meeting his eyes directly. Maybe, he replied. Maybe I'm just pondering how different this summer feels. She smiled faintly. Different can be good. Sometimes you have to let things happen that you didn't plan. Her words hung heavy, open to interpretation. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but a knock at the gate interrupted. A neighbor calling for Anna. The tension snapped like a cut thread. She stepped outside, leaving him alone with a fire he could no longer ignore. When she returned, she shot him a quick, probing glance, as if checking if he was still thinking the same forbidden thoughts. And he was. The afternoon heat was oppressive. Marcus retreated to the shed to fix an old shelf when the door creaked open. Anna slipped inside. "It's cooler in here than out there," she said with a smile, closing the door behind her. A sliver of sunlight sliced through a crack, tracing lines across her face and the dress clinging to her curves. Marcus nodded, his heartbeat accelerating. The space was cramped, the shelf blocking the way, leaving little room between them. She stepped closer, picking up a piece of wood, examining it, then setting it down, her arm brushing his. "You're so skilled with your hands," she remarked casually. "Sometimes," he answered, his voice huskier than intended. Silence stretched. Their eyes met longer than propriety allowed. Anna's smile faded, her gaze now challenging yet vulnerable. "Marcus," she whispered, "do you know how long it's been since I felt like this?" He wanted to reply, but his throat tightened. Instead, he heard only the rush of his blood. Then almost instinctively it happened. She reached for a nail, her fingers trailing over his hand. She didn't withdraw. She let the touch linger, testing him. Marcus held his breath. He knew he was one step from crossing an irreversible line. The shed door rattled in the wind, startling them both apart. But the spell wasn't broken, it intensified. "We should." Anna started, her voice faltering. She just looked at him, her eyes leaving no doubt. This was only the beginning. Night fell over the village. Marcus tossed in bed, sleep evading him. His mind replayed the shed, Anna's gaze, the tremble in her fingers against his. Crickets sang outside, a warm breeze drifting through the open window. Then soft footsteps, hesitant, approaching his door. A gentle knock. "Marcus." Her voice was a whisper, soft and urgent. He bolted up, opening the door to find her in a long nightgown, hair tousled, eyes brimming with unrest and anticipation. "I couldn't sleep," she said. "It was too warm, too quiet." He knew she meant more than the weather. They stood there, tension coiling like an invisible rope. Then Anna stepped forward, close enough for him to feel her breath. "Marcus," she murmured, her voice trembling, shattering his last restraint. He cupped her cheek. She closed her eyes. Their lips met, tentative at first, testing reality, then deeper, hungrier, urgent. Anna clung to him as if she'd waited years. Finally, she breathed between kisses. They moved backward until his legs hit the bed. He pulled her down with him, the thin fabric of her gown revealing her desire. "We shouldn't," she whispered, but her hands contradicted her, gripping, drawing him closer, refusing release. Marcus understood. Tonight there was no turning back. Under the bright moon, Anna and Marcus surrendered in the small room. Outside, summer winds rustled the trees. Inside, only their breaths, heartbeats, and closeness mattered. She lay beside him, hair splayed on the pillow, cheeks flushed, lips still warm from his. She looked at him so intensely, He could barely hold her gaze. "Marcus," she whispered, "we've crossed a line, but I regret nothing." He traced her cheek tenderly, as he'd never dared before. "Me neither. It might be wrong, but it feels so right." Anna sighed, resting her head on his shoulder. "All my life, I've been the dutiful aunt, there for everyone. Now I finally feel alive." Their fingers intertwined, as if sealing a vow. Hours passed in whispers, silences, and reigniting touches. Each smile, each word deepened their bond. As dawn's first rays filtered in, Marcus knew this night had changed everything. Anna sat up, her hair glowing golden in the light. "Whatever happens, I won't pretend there's nothing between us. I choose you, Marcus." He took her hand firmly. "Then we'll walk this path together without fear." As the village stirred awake outside, their new day began, not just on the calendar, but in their souls. A day free of hidden longings, where forbidden desire bloomed into something stronger than rules or doubts. Love.